Here you go.
Well, good morning, everybody out there. It's been a while since I've come in with Dr. Stacy, and we're going to talk about that. Where have I been and what progress have I been making on my health journey? So anyway, Dr. Stacy, as always, I welcome you here to help our group, to support them, and to provide some of the knowledge that you can give them all.
Of course. Glad to be here. Good to see you back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. So Stacey, you know that in the group, we were talking about doing the lymphatic tummy protocol and a parasite cleanse and all. Well, I amped it up on both of them. I did the lymphatic protocol for 30 days. And in all honesty, everybody, you know, it seems like things are always going to go easy because the first few days you feel really good. And then all of a sudden it goes, woo, and it's like, what happened? So on day 11 of the 30, Stacey, I started to go through some detox symptoms in that healing crisis where it seems like I'm not making progress, but actually I was making progress. And good thing I knew that, because otherwise I would have freaked out. And then after that, I decided, let's do the full moon parasite cleanse for a week. And that was actually easier for me because my lymphatics were now clear and moving. So I was making some progress. But I have to say, I still had a challenge. I didn't know what it was and where it was coming from. And so I shared with Dr. Stacy, you know, my energy just keeps plummeting. And that was one of my long haul symptoms. So I started to think, is it possible that some of this stuff, you know, has this retracing kind of thing that's happening when we go through, you know, this health journey? And yes, I'm all patched up and I got all my supplements and I eat really good because it's all part of it. But then something shifted for me, Stacey, and I'm so excited because I have a waistline again. And I haven't had that for 3 years. So progress, not perfection as we think it is happening. But this took me 19 months to get here.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, but I didn't give up.
Mm-hmm.
And so down below today, I posted a chart showing progress, even what it looks like at different stages with the patches and all. And I'm adding one other thing, Stacey, because I realized, I remember you were talking about the metal and chemical cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing now. And all of a sudden it's like, whew, like everything seems to have sparked up even more.
Mm-hmm.
So let's help this group today to understand what progress looks like, first of all, and what are some of the things that we can do. And then I'll share one other thing that I added that helped me get through some of like the mood stuff that was going on for me, because
Okay.
I'm thinking, you know, what's this about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on getting that waistline back there. Right. And I think that we have to remember, first of all, that the situation we're in right now, whether it's weight, whether it's, you know, a disease or illness, a sickness, something like that, right? The symptoms you're experiencing, they didn't happen overnight. They didn't happen over the course of 30 days, right? They happened over a long period of time. By the time we feel those symptoms or we're experiencing those, things have been going on for years and years in the body. And so it wasn't just an immediate issue that you've had, and you know health, you eat healthy, right? You have good practices, but we're still exposed to so much in our environment, right? With our food, even if you eat clean, which I do, right? A lot of us eat super clean. There's still toxins. You can't get around it. It's not like you can grow your own, you know, vegetables and fruit and, you know, have your own animals out back and everything be still perfect. It just doesn't work that way anymore. It's not, you know, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. It's just not. And so our environment is toxic. Our water is toxic. And what's going on in our world is toxic.
All of it.
All of that creates these things in the body over time. And so when we experience symptoms of something, right, then that's when it's like your body's going, whoa, I'm out. Like I need a break. I'm done. I cannot deal with this anymore because it's been happening for so long. It's like driving your car for 20 years and not getting the oil changed, right? Or maybe you change it once or twice, but then all of a sudden, all these other things are coming into the car that you're not aware of, or maybe you are, and you just don't realize it. And then you thought, well, I changed my oil last year. It should be fine. I haven't drove that much. And so when you look at progress, it's going to be different for every person. And it's going to be a journey. It's not like, oh, here's my list of symptoms and I'm going to use these patches, or I'm going to do this cleanse and I'm going to be great in 30 days. Everything's going to be fine. And maybe even been experiencing things for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? Or maybe you didn't even really know what all was going on, because we know as the body ages, that degeneration process that's happening, you don't necessarily feel all the things right away. They start to creep in, and then it kind of becomes your new norm. Right? So you have to be okay with the journey of regeneration, which means I'm going to detox, I'm going to repair, I'm going to have some ups and downs, right? We talked about detox in an event I did yesterday. Nobody wants to experience detox symptoms. They don't want to have low energy. They don't want to be stuck on the toilet. They don't want to have brain fog. They don't want to experience any of that stuff. And I'm like, better out than in. Right? It's a short-term experience that you're going to go through. Use your self-care practices, obviously, to help get yourself into balance, right? But a lot of times people don't. And they just say, forget it. I'm just going to deal with it. And then it again compounds over and over again in the wrong direction. So,
if I can interject for a second, that's, when I first started the patches, and thank you for introducing me to them, I started to feel really, really good, and I was excited, right? And so for, a month and 2 months and 3 months, like everything was going well. And even beyond that, but it also reminded me of all those little things that you were just mentioning. Oh, well, while I was going through this, and while I was isolated for 2 years, and I started eating more junk food all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute. I need to change those practices too if I want to see this continue. And that's where some of that stuff did start to come up, especially when I really focused these last 2 months. And Stacey knows, she's been like, you okay? Where are you? And I'm like, I am having a difficult time with energy, when for over a year I was feeling great. But I amped it up, and I knew I had to. It was time. And I know people reach out to us all the time, Stacey. They're like, well, I don't feel anything happening, or I'm not getting the results I was, last month. And I think this is a really good piece of it, where you're saying, where you just said, especially for those of us older, that what did you say? The degeneration? And then you're regenerating. Yeah. I mean, if you're younger, like you said, you don't have something as long as I do. I'm like 20 years older than you, at least. And it's like, well, yeah, my body has gone through different things. And like you also mentioned, exposed to over 400 toxins daily that we don't even know about. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is very. So it does make a difference. And everybody has to understand that your journey is going to be different. This, it's kind of like success. There's no straight line up to success. There's going to be ups and downs, peaks and valleys. It's the people that stay consistent and don't stop before that miracle happens, right? Just when you feel like quitting, just when you feel like giving up, like, I can't do this anymore. That's when you persevere, and then poof, you come out of it, right? It happens with everything like that in life. And it's part of the journey. It's part of your journey to be able to say, well, you know what? I've experienced something like that, or I know someone that has, and here's how they've overcome it. They didn't stop. They kept patching. They added in some extra this, or, more vitamin D, more grounding, extra water, doing different things to help the body to turn over the lymphatic system, to get things cleansing out, because it's either in or out. That's really it. Do you want this stuff to stay in your body and continue to wreak havoc? Or do you want to be okay with that out process, that elimination process? And sometimes that may not be super comfortable. At the beginning of this year, Brent and I both did a pH balance cleanse, just using baking soda and water, right? He was on the toilet. We both were on the toilet for 6 hours. We're like, and good thing we don't need to leave to go to work today, because we're going nowhere. So day 2, we're like, okay. So it was about 3 hours. By day 3, it was like, oh, we can manage this. No problem. Got your morning going. Great. Now we're out the door. But it was a process, right? And so you have to be okay with that process of whatever that looks like, and moving things out of your system, out of your bowels, out of your lymphatic system is so important to your
And,
health.
it's amazing how much is in there that we don't realize, which is also causing not only the inflammatory process, the pain, the depression, but also the extra weight that we think, is ours when it's actually what's going on inside. And depression, you mentioned a little bit about it the other day on one of the videos. Depression is something that, a lot of us experience in different ways. And like you said, different situations in life, and we handle it different. And through some of this, I found myself slipping into that space. And I said, why? And then I remembered these last 2 years, like you're saying, we have all been through a lot in these last few years. And, moving to a new place, and 2 days later, all of this kicking in, I didn't know anybody. So going through that lymphatic process also was bringing up some of that emotional feeling. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? And so, I got in the car and went out, I'm not near a beach. I went out to nature. I all of a sudden felt like I needed to be able to see the horizon. I needed to see, like, in essence, the future. Where am I going? When where I'm living, I don't have that, even though it's beautiful here with mountains. I realized I was missing that component of nature as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that did something for me. It shifted something for me.
Of course it did. Mother Nature knows exactly what's needed. It's another thing I was talking about yesterday too, was I have said, stand up if you have pain. There were about 45 people in the room. Half of them stood up and came up. They wanted LifeWave, our pain patches. And I said, okay, well, let's just talk about this real quick because LifeWave is a great quick fix, but LifeWave's not going to solve your problem. Obviously, X39 we know help get to the root, but I said, let's talk about grounding. How many of you go outside and spend 15, 20 minutes with your bare feet on the grass, on the dirt, on the sand, in the mud, on the ice, whatever, every single day without your phone? And no one did. I said, that's going to be your number one pain reliever right there. You're disconnected from Earth. You're disconnected from Mother Nature. And those negative ions that hit that Earth every single day can literally reset your entire autonomic nervous system and help eliminate balance.
I'm going to say something real quick because that is 100% truth. Years ago, when I had a back issue, I was living in New Jersey, running 2 businesses, and I had a back issue. And I was flying to Kauai to do a training there, a retreat there. And my assistant, she says, how are you going to do this? You can hardly move. I said, just wait until you see me get on that beach and ground myself. And literally all the pain was gone, literally. And she's like, you're walking okay. So that is absolutely 100% truth.
Yeah, it is. You've got to get your bare feet on the ground every day. If it's short little 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, best thing would be to be able to stand a solid 15, 20 minutes or sit on the ground. And I used to live in Indiana, so I understand if it's cold, it's raining, it's not anywhere right now. But if it's icy or whatever, we did it every night. It didn't matter. We would stand there with our bare feet on the ice every single night. Snow, didn't matter. So everything's a choice in life. Everything is a choice. We can choose pain and suffering, or we can choose health and abundance. It's just a choice, right?
Very true. Yep. So one of the things that when I was going through went through that phase of why is all this coming up? The energy again was low and the moods were low. And then I remembered I had this secret little ingredient here, shine. And I said, well, maybe this will also help me shift. So I every day started spraying this and inhaling it. And I'm like, 20 minutes later, I'm realizing, oh, I feel better. Why is that doing that?
Well, shine and dream both. Daytime and nighttime are sprays that David Schmidt, the inventor of the patches, invented for himself last year. He turned 60 back in April, but last year he was noticing, even though he's on the patches and everything's great, he does all the practices, right? All the stuff, that his testosterone was still dipping. And, knowing going into your 60s, it's at any age, when you age, men and women, testosterone is key to your health and longevity. And so he invented these to elevate his own testosterone level and balance all of his hormones out. Okay. And I'm just going to say this little note from him, because a lot of people on here, men especially, are going, oh, wait a minute, my PSA level, if my PSA level, I can't have testosterone. And, you know, I loved it when David introduced this to us last year. He said, if that was the case, that elevated testosterone or normal testosterone level caused high PSA levels and prostate issues, then you would have a world full of teenage men, young boys, and young adults in their 20s with prostate issues. And we don't, but we know their testosterone level is higher than anyone right on the planet, because that's what happens as boys go through puberty. So that's not true. So what is it that's causing your PSA level to be elevated? More than likely your diet, the inflammation in your body. That's why we see huge success with X39 and Eon, and using these to balance your hormones naturally. So David was able to bring his own testosterone level up by like around 300 points, which is a big jump, right? Just in a matter of days, and balance all of his hormones out. And that's very important for longevity. So he decided, because of that key component right there, that he would bring these to market for the company. But what Shine specifically does in that is that it increases your oxytocin level. Now, for women, not necessarily men as much, but for women, that is the bonding, connection, love that a mother and a baby feel together instantly, right? It's the increase of oxytocin that makes that happen. And when you look at new relationships, right, new partners, there's that giddy feeling, that happy feeling. That's that elevation of oxytocin. So Shine and Dream both are proprietary, meaning David has invented what is in here, structured energized water that he's invented, a blend of different, very proprietary, not, locally grown here junk, but organic, healthy, safe essential oils and herbs, specific ones that are proven to balance those hormones, your human growth hormone, and of course the other hormones, but also Shine elevates that oxytocin. Oxytocin is not only the feel good, happy connection, love, right, feeling, but it also turns old muscle into new muscle. So when you look at X39, well, you only need to spray and inhale 7 to 8 times. You don't want to spray it all over your body, because the whole key is working with your olfactory senses. But when you look at X39, 49, how they help to build lean muscle mass, right? Reduce body fat, help with bone density and stopping bone loss. The Shine oxytocin is actually proven to take old muscle fibers and tissues and make them young and new again. So not just building lean muscle mass of old muscles, but turning muscles young again. And so obviously younger muscles are performing better than older muscles are, right? We know this again from the study. So Shine is fantastic to help with your mood, with your feelings. You can't be in love and depressed at the same time. You can't be fearful and in love and gratitude at the same time. It doesn't exist. And so if you're feeling feelings of anxiety, worry, stress, fear, resentment, guilt, shame, frustration, anger, I don't know, all those lower level vibration frequencies that most of the world operates in, then you're not feeling love, peace, joy, happiness, abundance, health, wealth, all things great from God. You can't live here in gratitude and live here in fear at the same time. It just doesn't exist that way. And so Shine helps you to bring your energy level up, your vibration up. And I'm sure those of you that use essential oils know that, right? Like rose is the most powerful, most highest frequency essential oil on the planet. So you can use different essential oils to bring your vibration up and your frequency up. These two have different, obviously proprietary blends of those oils and herbs and the water to do very specific things to balance you out. So
I'm glad you brought up the piece about the muscle though, because that's when I started to see the change. I had been using it for a couple of weeks And
Mhm.
something just intuitively kept saying, spray it, sniff it, and
Mhm.
that's when I really began to see my body muscle tone shift and change. And I was wondering, okay, well, I'm taking, extra amino acids and that builds protein and muscle. But what else am I doing? And you just gave me that key there that I didn't realize. So besides it giving me that feel good hormone, because I'm not having babies at this stage in life, and I'm not in a relationship getting hugs like I would love to have every day, except from my doggy,
Yeah.
but this also did help, get me through some of the phase while I was going through, that lymphatic cleanse that was bringing up old stuff. So that was very helpful. Thank you for mentioning all of that, because I know there's people out there, that are struggling with even the weight issue. And this could be, if they were doing all the other stuff too, something that added that component that they needed. And obviously I needed it.
Well, Gloria, also from the studies, again, because David doesn't do anything without studying it. From the studies, he found that about after 3 weeks, he could see a 2-inch reduction in waistline because of the elevation of the human growth hormone.
Wow.
So
Well,
helping
there
your
we go.
body to elevate its own human growth hormone is a key component when you look at waist size.
Yeah, well, there you go. You saw my
There you
waist,
go.
first thing I said, because it's been the challenge, and I kept wondering why am I struggling with this? I never used to with weight. I was very slender even when I lived down in Florida and met you, and I'm like blowing up. And I'm like, so I'm really happy. I did add something else because I've seen you do it in the past and recommend it, and I'm wondering if you can address that. So I recently, after all of this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not done yet. Because you heard Dr. Stacy say, we have a plethora of things we're exposed to all the time, and maybe even from the past, like fillings and all. And so I started a metal and chemical cleanse that I'm doing, and I know you've done that. So can you just briefly touch upon that? Because I know we're almost done this morning.
Yeah, so heavy metals are everywhere. They're hiding in your personal care products. They're hiding in your food, believe it or not. They're in the air. They're everywhere. Okay. And so heavy metals, think of heavy. They're metals that get into your bloodstream, into your cells, and cause your cells to not have the energy that the ATP that they normally would. So if you think of a cell, this is a crazy, right? We have trillions and trillions of cells. But if you look at a cell and it's heavy from heavy metals, which we're all exposed to, there's no way to avoid being exposed to heavy metals, then that cell is not moving and functioning and communicating how it should and could if it wasn't being weighted down. Picture yourself. I know when I was pregnant with my daughter, they put at the mommy, daddy classes, they would put the 40-pound vest on Brent with the belly and say, get up, get on the floor and then get back up. And he's like, this is not happening. I'm like, well, yeah, welcome to my world. And so picture being weighted down with a weighted vest. And that's your cells, all of them, trillions going, I can't move the way I did before. Or have you ever worn the ankle weights? Like the yoga class I used to do, there was one put ankle weights on. You throw 5 pounds on each leg, it makes a massive difference. So picture that extra 5 pounds on trillions of cells inside of your body. The heavy metals get stuck there. And so it's important to get them out. Heavy metal detoxes do that. Food does that. The right types of nutrition can help to eliminate some of those heavy metals as well too. But same as you, I love herbal tinctures. Herbs do a fantastic job when you combine them, right? That's in that jar, the different tinctures will help to eliminate different heavy metals. You want to get rid of the mercury. If you have mercury fillings in your mouth, you need to find a holistic dentist that does it in a safe way. Don't just go to your regular dentist and say drill them out. You'll probably end up either neurologically severely damaged or dead. So don't just randomly go to the dentist and go, get my fillings out. You're probably going to end up dead sooner than later. So find yourself a good holistic dentist, even if you have to drive 2, 3, 4 hours away to get someone to get your fillings out. They're only going to continue to cause more problems as that mercury is leached into your brain. So when you look at longevity, that's not going to be something that's going to contribute to longevity. But then also doing a heavy metal detox. It's not a big deal. It's not. You do your tincture depending on the directions. Maybe, maybe it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, maybe it's a full 30 days, right? But it's really important when you look at parasites feed on heavy metals, right? Candida, all of that plays in to toxicity in your body. And you want to eliminate the heavy metals, and you want to eliminate the parasites, you want to eliminate the candida. You want to have a body that's functioning in its tip-top shape if you're into longevity. If you're like, look, I don't care, doesn't matter, I'm here, when I'm gone, then keep doing what you're doing. It's perfectly fine. But I would say probably most of you in here in this page are very interested in longevity and wellness and keeping your body in the best shape possible. And that this heavy metal detox is a huge component of that. I started doing heavy metal detoxes about 20 years ago with actual tinctures that I, when I found out about that. Otherwise, before that, it was nutritional. So supporting yourself nutritionally is important, and being able to, do cleanses, at least do one a quarter, right? If you're going to change your oil in your car, you would be changing the oil in your body, which is eliminating that toxic sludge and replacing it with something nice and beautiful and new and clean and healthy. And that's what happens when you do a detox. When you eliminate parasites, then you make way for clean, healthier cellular communication.
The more that you do that too, the easier it is every time you. So like I remember years and years ago, decades ago, doing my first one, and I was like terrified, what's gonna happen? And yeah, stuff comes out, that you may be shocked about sometimes. But over the years, because like you said, I do it at least quarterly, if not more frequently. But it's not painful. It's easy. It's almost exciting, like when you were saying how you and Brett were doing the one with the baking soda, like, oh, we're on the toilet again. It's like you get excited you're getting rid of this stuff. And so I just want to encourage everybody out there that is on this health journey, like we've both been saying, be patient, know that it's a process, decide what you want to do, when you can do it, and keep going. And that's when you're going to see that breakthrough. And that's what I just went through. And now doing the heavy metal herbs too, I know that that's contributing too. So Dr. Stacy, thank you always for coming in here and supporting us. Remember, we are not medical doctors. We do not diagnose or treat. We are just sharing our knowledge and information as healthcare professionals. So if you have a question, drop it down below. Thanks again, Stacy.
You are so welcome. See you guys next week.